Welcome back to Plastic Surgery Untold. Greatest podcast in the world is voted by us. We got our celebrity cast back, and so we'll go around the room and do some intros in just a second. But, today we're going to talk all about the 1-year update of semaglutide. It was in October of 2022 when I personally started my journey. We have some of our cast members today that have been on the journey as well. And so just kind of seeing where people are in terms of their weight, whether they're still on the medications, and kind of, their overall 1-year perspective, which I think is absolutely fabulous because a lot of people have been kind of waiting to see what happens. So let me introduce everybody. We got to my left here, Dr. Chang, who is part of our wellness team and my mentor when I was a medical student. So Dr. Chang, welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's good to be back and super glad to be talking about this really exciting topic.
And I think part of the reason, and we'll get into it in a little bit, having you as part of our team as someone who is focused on internal medicine really just shows the complexity, dynamic, and kind of the overall explosion of this weight loss revolution and how many aspects that we're just barely scratching the surface of.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree. I've said this, sometime in the past, and I say this to our patients all the time, but the semaglutide weight loss revolution has been truly a game changer. It's so exciting. We have not really had this type of therapy in the past. And so for me to be able to be here, help serve our patients, be working with our team and kind of going through these conversations has been really exciting. And you're absolutely correct. It's opened up all kinds of opportunities and avenues for different kinds of conversations within the space.
Jenna, tell me, number one, thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And then we'll get into a little bit because you've seen patients along this journey. Unlike myself, I think you were in a pretty good place a year ago before this. And then Joseph, you've been leading our team down in San Antonio with this, and so we'll get your perspective in just a minute. And then Sarah, like me, not to give all of her beauty secrets away, but she was actually on the semaglutide for a little bit. And maybe we'll kick off with you because I think you started it about the same time I did, maybe a week or two afterwards. And give us a kind of your course and where you're at now.
Okay, yeah. Well, for me, I agree. It's changed my whole life. I feel like I lost about 40 pounds. I started October, I think just a week or two after you did. I have done a little bit on semaglutide, a little bit on tirzepatide. So I've tried both medications. I switched about halfway through and had no problems with either one. They both worked great for me. I lost the majority of my weight in about 5 to 6 months. Mm-hmm. And then I started weaning off of the medication. So all my patients in the office ask me, like, are you still on it? What are you doing? Have you gained weight back? So to answer just those common questions, I'm not still on the medication. I weaned down my dose slowly. I never got super high on the dosage, so I think that's great to point out. You don't have to get super high. For me, I didn't have too much to wean. And then I've been off of it for probably at least 4 months, maybe a little bit longer, and have maintained within like a 5-pound fluctuation, which women we know is normal anyways. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell y'all, I'm sometimes afraid to even get on the scale and make sure that I'm still like in the same range, but I'm pleasantly surprised that I am. So yeah, it's been great.
And one of the things that's interesting is I'll tell you, my personal story is very similar. So I started in October. At this point, I'm down about 80 pounds. Same thing. I actually did max out at the dose just because I was trying to get to the absolute good spot, but I had a BMI of about 39, almost 40 at that point. I topped out at almost 260 pounds for being only 5'8", which was a little above where I should be. I'm now at about 74 pounds, which don't fact check me, but I think puts me at a BMI of about 26. So to lose 14 BMI points is actually pretty good.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Sort of like Sarah, I lost the majority of my weight over the first 5 to 6 months. I think both of us made a lot of lifestyle changes, and I think that goes forgotten. So it's not just about the shot and then walking in with a Frappuccino with whipped cream and extra sprinkles. I mean, we make fun of it on social media stuff, and we should find some of these clips, but little changes go a long way. I switched even doing stuff like, sometimes we do order cane stuff at the surgery center, but I don't do any of the cane sauce. I've given that up. Just cutting out. I went from doing vanilla lattes, which I was doing 2 of twice a day, to now just doing a plain latte with skim milk. I mean, there's little ways to cut sucks those sneaky calories out throughout the day stuff. The shot decreases those cravings, helps along there. I also made a lifestyle change in terms of my daily routine. At this point, I get up, typically about 3:45, 4 o'clock in the morning, do a little bit of work, get to the gym by 5:40, hit the showers, and then at the Office of Surgery Center by about 6:10, 6:15, and so, just carving out some dedicated time has made a big change for me. And I think it just gets the day going and stuff. So I think you made a lot of similar lifestyle changes. You have the challenges of having 3 little ones and a husband and other stuff. So I got a little bit more flexibility.
Yeah, I wish I was better about my workout routine as much as you are, but just being more active in general. But I think you made a great point. The skinny shot honestly it's a tool, right? So it's not like a magic pill or anything, but it really does help making those better choices easier. So like you said, you changed like what coffee you drink. I honestly never eat desserts because you just don't want them. Like your cravings totally change. And I lost all of the weight simply by mostly eating much smaller portions and making healthier choices. And it just makes it so much easier to do that. So where in the past I tell everybody like queso is my weakness, I could probably eat the whole bowl of queso. It was like mind-blowing to me that especially while I was on the shot, I could literally have like 2 chips and be done. Like I got my fix. It just makes it so much easier to make those changes.
That's one of the things that I've seen so much, and we'll get Joseph and Dr. Chang's perspective on this, but it's not that I stopped eating some of the stuff completely.
Yes.
It's just all I need is a little taste. Same thing, 2 or 3 chips, and I felt like I'm good. Even if I haven't been as strong as you to get rid of desserts completely, I still like it, but I can break off a little corner of a cookie, and I'll be good with that, and that gets me my fix. Where in the past I would do, half a cookie 8 times, which is still 4 cookies, if you're doing the math. And so, super challenging. That's our personal experience. Joseph, Dr. Chang, what have you seen from your patients as you guys see the vast majority in Austin and San Antonio?
Sure. You want to go first? Go for it.
I mean, I've seen amazing things. I can talk about this for hours and hours. I'm so excited about it because I've been on the back end of seeing what overweight and obesity looks like coming from the ER. One thing I wanted to touch on that you both said is you guys made small changes, and that's what I love about this medication is it's not this like crash diet. It's not this you need to be perfect and you can only eat lettuce and carrots and vegetables. It helps you become more consistent and it helps you become healthy overall. And then one other thing Dr. Franco said that I loved is that 14 BMI, 14 points, that's spectacular. But I think one thing that, if you subtract the muscle you've been putting on, it probably would have been, 16 to 18 BMI points, but you're being more active, you're being more healthy. And so it's, we'll touch base on this in a little bit as well, probably, but it's so much more than just losing weight. It really goes to change your life for the long. It increases the longevity of the health. And like I said, I could talk about it all day, but I'll kind of pass it over to Dr. Chang. What have you seen?
No, exactly. I'm totally with you. Everything you're saying and everything that we're hearing from your personal stories really resonates. I hear this from lots and lots of folks. It really is a tool, like you mentioned. It is about making sort of better choices more simply, a little bit easier to do, right? Just to help you kind of nudge in that direction. And frankly, that's part of what makes this sustainable too, right? I say this all the time is like exactly like what Joe was saying. It's not like you have to be calorie counting. You don't have to be super, you don't have to like enter all your stuff onto a spreadsheet and figure out exactly the time of day and like all this stuff. It's really about how can we make this more simple so that down the line it is easier to sustain, right? And you guys are clearly doing it, right? And so that's what I try to encourage our patients all the time. The success rates have been phenomenal, and we absolutely. You mentioned a point to me just now that really resonates with me too, which is again similar conversation coming from the hospital side. I can't tell you how many times I wish I could just walk around with my little semaglutide injections, and just because we truly, by the time folks get to that point in their lives and their sort of their health, it's difficult. It's difficult to change things. So I really see this as a nice way to kind of get onto a better path. It is largely, in many senses, a preventive sort of a therapy as well. And for folks who are going down this journey, I mean, we're here to support, and it's amazing.
Jenna, what have you seen in your patients now, kind of a 1 year update of the progress they've made? Have you seen a percentage of people wean off the medications? Have you seen people kind of go up and then come down into a maintenance dose? Because I think there's going to be some percentage of people that want to do a very, very small maintenance dose. I also tell people, unfortunately, I don't want to get banned from podcasts and iHeart and stuff, but shit happens. And so life happens. And so I think that a lot of us stress eat and so forth. And so I think people are going to come off of it. Do I think that there may be a time that people come back onto the medication just because jobs, relationships, family, illness, deaths, all those type of things are going to keep happening in our life stuff. And so I think being mindful and not letting it kind of come over the top and get to a bad spot again.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of all those different options. I've had many patients successfully taper off the medication. And a huge part of making that transition successful is once they reach their goal, we start, honestly, throughout the whole program, but we really start drilling in. Okay, now really pay attention to those habits that you formed. You have to maintain those to see progress. Because if you go back to the way things were before, you're going to go back to that same weight, or you're going to start seeing weight gain. So we really coach them every single appointment. We take the taper off process individually with each patient, depending on how quickly or slowly they want to go. And for many patients, they're like, you know what, I feel great on this medication. It's given me so many other benefits. I do want to stay on this for a maintenance dose. And I have had some patients who come off and like, oops, I had my birthday month and I went a little crazy and they want to kind of get back to a good spot. But back in my previous life, I used to do some personal training. And I feel like the biggest barrier for those patients was that this type of lifestyle was so restrictive, and it was such an active, like conscious choice of like, you know what, I have these cravings. I really want to indulge, but I'm restricting myself. And it was very difficult because you had to make this super conscious effort. But it's nice because now it doesn't feel restrictive. You don't want those things. You don't crave those things. Or if you do, like you said, you eat a little bit of it and you're good. Like you're not having to really kind of torture yourself. It's easy and it's efficient, and you're able to make those habitual changes without feeling like you're suffering.
That's I appreciate everybody kind of sharing their journey stuff things, and stay tuned for a couple more sessions here, because we're gonna do a couple follow-up podcasts where we talk about the difference between semaglutide and tirzepatide. We're also going to talk about dosing, which is I think a couple people brought up, because I think there's some misnomers about dosing, about the wean off process stuff, and so we'll talk more about that. But I appreciate everybody joining us and giving kind of 1 year update of where people are, and then Sarah sharing your personal journey about this. So Weight Loss Revolution, our 1 year update. So just happy to share it all with you guys. We'll see ya.